a lot of my clients that I work with, and also just outside of this, and this is why I say I'm quite passionate about it, because I think that's what's happening with relationships.
Yeah,
Slowly but surely, the dismantling of these relationships with Black couples is so clear, and that
yeah,
sometimes it feels like we're chasing after something. I know that my parents came over and they were very much they met here. But what was really clear is that they were struggling with just day-to-day life, the oppression that was here, but also trying to raise a family, which was tough.
yeah.
In our Unfortunately, what's happened to a lot of families is that we've actually taken on their struggles, we've taken on their struggles.
Yes.
And how are we supposed to build nurturing relationships when all we had seen was struggle most of the time?
You can't change what you don't understand. If it lives in
Right.
the unconscious, this is me doing life how I do life. What's the problem? Well, there is a
Right.
problem because I know something's not working right, but I don't quite
Mhm.
know what it is. And
Yeah.
helping people to move stuff, what I call is moving from the unconscious into the
Yeah.
conscious, then
Hmm.
a highlighter pen to say, hey, client, can you see that now? Let's put a highlighter pen through it because now you can see it. You now get a
Hmm.
chance to go after it and to change it. But you can't change it immediately. Why? Because what you're going after is not just the stuff you've got from your parents, it's what your parents got from their parents from. So you've got a whole flow of water intergenerational from generations back coming as a flood towards you, which means at some point you've got to build a dam and say, this stops with me. This stops
Right.
with me because I don't want to pass it on to my
Hmm.
children. And there's an
Beautiful.
inevitable script and baton that just gets
Yeah.
passed on to the children unless you understand this stuff.
Yeah, true. And that's where the awareness comes in, isn't it? That's why the work is so important,
Yeah.
is being aware of all of this can make the changes happen. I've seen it so many times, and even in my own life, I'm not being shy away from that. When you see that you've been handed the baton and for many years you just keep plodding on because you just gotta make things work, right? And the least thing that comes to mind, or the thing that doesn't come to mind, is the fact that you've inherited a lot of these things
Yeah.
and you've been exposed to it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And I think also I'm very concerned about relationships between Black men and Black women,
Mm.
because I think, Black women are wanting more from relationship. They want to see what they see outside of their ethnicity. And some ethnicities, the same in the Black people, depending on which country you're from, they see that people are getting married. But even in those situations, they're also concerned about what relationships are about. And I don't want to put that on blast, but obviously I'm passionate about it because I'm a Black woman.
Mm.
So that's what's really important. And I do, and also when you're talking about mixed marriages as well, mixed relationships, they also have their journey to go through.
Mm.
And I think part of it is quite openly, do you think sometimes when another ethnicity haven't experienced that intergenerational trauma, somehow it kind of levels the balance in kind of how they see how relationships should be, or take away some of the harm that they've already been exposed to?
I don't know how people cannot experience intergenerational issues.
Mm,
Now, it doesn't mean it's all negative. That's what we've got to be careful of.
absolutely.
Intergenerational can be really positive stuff that gets passed on, passed on, passed on, passed on. What's really interesting is if we bring it up to date, actually, Prince Harry,
Mm,
Meghan, this is the intergenerational stuff. They've broken out
absolutely.
of some stuff. Now, I don't follow the stuff and I don't follow the media, but
Mm,
actually, what you have, of course, are decades of, and actually hundreds of years of a endemic way of doing life. And in 2023, here is an individual, in a sense, trying to become unshackled from the stuff,
mm,
but the system doesn't allow you to break out and become unshackled. And so
Mm,
there's good stuff that gets passed on down the generations. We're only going after the stuff that isn't working for people. And so every one of us are going to be subject to inherited cultures, inherited intergenerational stuff. It's about when it stops working in the couple relationship, we need to look
mhm,
at why, and might there be some scripts which we are playing out that we've got handed as the baton, which for some reason is no longer a fit in the relationship. And that Caroline
mm,
could just be life stage changes that we
mm,
reach because for the first 5, 10 years of the relationship, all fine, all good, but we change.
mm, mm. Now, change is important,
Yeah.
with everyone. And as you pointed out, actually, with Meghan and Harry, the importance there was that they both he came to a realization, and it took him to be, in that relationship to understand that things don't need to continue, and that his first thing was to kind of help himself, wasn't it? It was to help himself
Yeah.
and then help the family, and then to kind of help his family's family to come. That was really,
Yeah.
yeah. But people don't see it that way, actually.
I don't follow the stuff. All I do is take a step back and I'm just noticing some things, but I do not follow the media and what's going
Yeah,
on with them. But what I do see is somebody seeking to become unshackled and breaking out.
right.
Gosh, it's exceedingly difficult to break out of
Mm,
boundaries that have kept people encrusted in those places for him, of course, hundreds and hundreds of years. So he isn't just trying to break out for Meghan and Harry and the children. What he's going after are all the generations in the royal family back to, because all
mm,
that process keeps them hemmed in. So it's a
mm,
mighty, mighty
mm,
task that he's doing with the
right.
hope that the baton isn't handed on quite the same way. It's filtered,
Hmm.
less
Hmm.
pollutants are being passed on,
Right.
so to speak. And that's not a criticism at all of the royal family in any way. But there are some things that are not working well for many of them.